Great.
We're waiting for the chirp, chirp, chirp of an eaglet ding thorn. Waiting for the chirp, chirp, chirp on this humid Gunday morning in this congressional incubator. God knows the temperature's hot enough to hatch a stone, let alone an egg. We're waiting for the scratch, scratch, scratch of the tiny little fellow, waiting for the egg to hatch on this humid Monday morning in this congressional incubator. God knows the temperature's hot enough to hatch a stone, that will it hatch an egg. The declaration is going to be a triumph, I tell you, a triumph. If ever I was sure of anything, I'm sure of that. A triumph.
There we go. Now that was works of Gina's, and I'm thinking she ought to record that and put it out right now, and we'll see the end of that at the end of the show. Peering out into the audience, I see that Larry Fowler, the Lincoln guy, has put his hat on. That is a symbol of how seriously we take this. And Bill Lewis also has a hat on, and not the one I am used to seeing. So we're going to have, and there's Mary Miller, there's Sandra Solon, everybody's here. Helena's here, Carol's here. It's like Romper Room. Yao is here. Hello, Barb. Hello, Regina. Hello, Jason. Let's get your thoughts for the day. We're going to have some fun. Jason, what's your thought for the day?
I'm just holding on for dear life.
And well, you might. Regina, go ahead.
My thought for today is make sure you go into nature for a little bit of time, even 5 minutes. Get into nature today.
You know, you're really right. I went out for a walk just around there's a park right next to where I am now. And just the getting out and walking around, it made a lot of difference. Dear Barb Kohler, what is your thought for the day? No, you're muted. On your sound. Everybody turn their sound.
Okay, got it. Well, I'm out in nature all the time, Gina. And this morning I was out there talking to my squirrel friends. But anyway, I think today just be thankful and be kind with everything that's going on. It's just horrible. So that's what I want to do, is be thankful and be kind.
Thank you. And you are both, I know. I want to draw your attention to Gina's whiteboard and let you know that Gina's whiteboard gets more fan mail than anybody else on the show. I frankly don't know how to take it. I've never gotten that much with hers, and they write. They don't just say loved it. They tell you all these wonderful things about it. So I think it's because not only is it good and it's witty and all that, but I think it's because it kind of takes us back to our childhood days, and it seems kind of wonderful for Barb. Anyways, great to see you. Now here is our friend hobbyist Yao Tsao. Thought for the day, my dear.
Be nice to people and give people benefit of doubts when they do something you don't like.
Mm-hmm.
That's very good. That's very good. And our #1 fan, Carol Cropley. Carol never misses a show. I would hate to think what might happen before Carol would miss us. So, what is your thought for the day?
I saw a bumper sticker I like. It said, "Joy is resistance."
If you remember, last week, Alan Klein was here, the Jollytologist, that last month. The Jollytologist, and he said that a Jollytologist is an executive of joy. So it's kind of like there's, this kind of sort of thing. Now, this somber gentleman over here is the Lincoln guy, Larry Fowler. Isn't he cute? Anyway, what is your thought for the day, Larry?
I have a lot of them, but I'm going to stick with this one, okay?
Yes.
And it is because it was really poignant for me. make someone cry tears
Oh,
of joy.
oh, that is lovely. That is lovely. And Bill Lewis, you and I have had that reason to cry this week and not tears of joy. So what is your thought for the day?
My thought for the day, illegitimi non carborundum.
Oh, sure, why not? That's easy for you to say.
Don't let that get you
Don't let
down.
the bastard grind you down. Yeah, that's right. So, Helena, your thought for the day.
Learn from yesterday, live for today, hope for tomorrow. And that's from Albert Einstein.
Oh, and he was a special ed student. Did you know that?
Yes, yes. Brilliant man.
And here's our friend Mary Miller. Mary was on, we did a show together a couple of years ago now, or didn't we?
Perfect.
I'm glad to see you. What's your thought for the day? Unmute, hun. We need the sound.
I was trying to get there. Mine is very similar to what was the few that Gina's already written, and this was posted in one of our sons' a class in high school many, many years ago, but it said 3 thoughts on conversation. Is it kind? Is it true? Is it important? And I loved that sign in their classroom. So I know you already have something similar up there, but is it important is another thing on conversation.
That's really great. Thank you. And our crafty Canadian, Sandra. What you think, kid?
Well, I don't know if it's a thought, but check your pets. And I think that's important because I brush my dog every other day. She's a long-haired dog. And she's had a sore behind her ear. And I don't know how long. I just had to, and I noticed it because, of course, it became things that cuts become. But just take an extra look when you're patting them. Just make sure you look in those crevices, your pet underarms and behind their ears. Yeah, so I think that's important.
And you could do that for the kids too.
Absolutely. On that, my daughter's going to get my granddaughter's ears pierced. But a friend of hers, actually, the little kid got hair stuck in there until it was a big mess. The mom never really noticed. It doesn't take long, a couple of days.
I thank you for that illuminating hint. That's really,
Sorry.
really good.
Good for Monday morning.
That was really good. That was good. Don't do it again. And I have a little note from Father Fred. He's still in California, and he says, I'll be here a while. They gave me a doctor's appointment Monday morning at 9 o'clock, so I cannot join you on Zoom. Please say hi for me to all of our people, Father Fred S.J. So we have Father Fred, and then I'm going to say just one word back to Bill Lewis, and I lost a dear friend this week. Richard Guy, Chief Justice Guy from the Washington State Supreme Court, passed away. And some of you might know him. We did a lot of shows together a couple of years ago with Bill as President Madison, right? And Richard was my last high school classmate. And now, like one of the movies, I'm the last one left. So you guys got to do a lot to cheer us both up, I think. Bill, would you like to say anything about Richard?
So I got to know Richard through doing things with Dorothy, and he talked a lot about the experience of being a Supreme Court judge on the Washington court. And when I was teaching over Zoom at MIT, he zoomed into our classroom and participated talking about the importance of Justice John Marshall. So he was wonderful with the kids, and he was just a wonderful person. So I wish I had a lot. I hope my life approaches his. So, Richard.
We love you, Bill, and Richard. We'll miss him. He lost his wife just 2 years ago on Christmas Eve. So at least you know, as they say in the movies, together again. So anyway, this is a show, as you know, because of the fact that this one is a tight audience, a small audience. We can be a little more intimate than we are with some of the bigger shows, but be aware that this is available. If I'm correct, Jason, that this is available for you to listen to and to give to your friends. And also, here's another thing. Although we are extremely careful with our links, if you have a friend that you would like to join us for coffee chat and change the world, whatever we call this thing, you're welcome to send the link to them. We just don't publicize it. That's all. So that, since Jason is nodding his head now, I like to see that, because sometimes he doesn't, and then I worry. But Jason, you had a hint or two you wanted to give people?
Yeah, just to kind of follow on what you were saying, the show after we are done goes up on YouTube and also on the Coffee Chat and Change the World podcast feed. So you can subscribe to it on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. Also, during the show, Regina's really good about doing this, and I know a couple of you are. There's the react button at the bottom of the screen. So if you hit on that, you can actually react to various things. It'll bring up emojis, so you can, do a thumbs up, which is what I'm doing right now, or you can hit the heart sign if you love something, like I just did and Regina's doing. So you can kind of participate as you listen along. And I would remind you that when you're not talking, it's helpful if you mute yourself, but do remember to unmute yourself when it's your turn to talk.
Because we do get to do a lot more audience participation. I think that's one of the fun things about it, and it may get to be more fun or not. That's what I say. Let's see. I even have people to introduce today. One of my pages didn't turn out, so aha. So let's have we spoken to every possible person? Jason, oh, Regina, what do you got on the whiteboard now that we should keep in mind as we go through the show? And then what would you like to say?
Oh goodness. Well, I think Jason covered it as far as our reactions and whatnot, but make sure you open the chat, the little bubble down there. I was saying that I shared last month's show link with a friend of mine who's an artist, and she was so impressed with Yao's work that he did, the painting of Dorothy. And it was wonderful to be able to share that with people here locally in Michigan. And so, yeah, please do share the link. It's lovely.
It is fun. And how do we get to see what's on the whiteboard? Or do you?
Well, you know what?
Don't go,
well,
Carol.
we can normally I take a picture and share this. So I think we can put it in the show notes, but if not, if anybody needs a picture of it, I can drop it in the chat.
Okay, well, that's fine. I think we can wait that long. And now you have, so did you, any last word before we go? Oh, I know what else. Yes, what?
No, you know what else I'm waiting to hear.
Oh, you're waiting to hear.
With bated breath.
Helena and Larry will both be on the Swimming Upstream podcast that we record late in November for December. And that is a whole, practically darn near close to a half hour with nothing but them. And so you want to look out for that, because they will. And Bill, yes, we'd love to have you too. Okay, this is just getting very exciting. So now we are going to, is it very warm in there with that hat and coat, Larry? Unmute.
We are, there's the unmute. No, it's not, but I do have something I want to, I'm wearing it for a particular reason, so I'm waiting to get to that.
Get to you now. Look stern, majestic, and yet lovable. And we'll say D.L. Fowler, the Lincoln guy, has spent more time with Abraham Lincoln than most of us do with members of our own family. And I've asked Larry to set the scene just a bit for what it was like when the president proclaimed Thanksgiving. What should we know? Award-winning author D.L. Fowler, the Lincoln guy, transports readers into his character's inner worlds, his best-selling work so far. Lincoln Raw, a biographical novel, imagines how Lincoln viewed the world in which he came of age. Lincoln Raw is curated in the Lincoln Collection of the Abraham Lincoln Presidential Library. You notice I can't do introductions without reading them anymore, Larry, but I love you. I'm welcome. And tell us all about it.
All right. Well, to start with, I want to give a nod to the Lincoln guy, how that came about quickly. And you're seeing a smiling face there. I am looking at it at least. Well, this is my face. Okay. But so there was this woman that decided she was going to set me straight on a few things about marketing, and that was Dorothy. And I just wanted to let her know by introducing the hat. This hat is part of a costume that has now been added to the Lincoln guy, image, the branding. It was introduced. I introduced it in Peoria, Illinois, at a book fair a month or so ago, and then I repeated it again at the Tacoma Holiday Festival at the Tacoma Dome just a couple weekends ago, and in both places it was a huge hit. So, by the way, I set personal records. I'm shaking the table. I sent personal sales records at that event in Tacoma, and I think I outdid a lot of people, a lot of regulars that had been there for years, and that's the impression that I got. But I think that was because of the Lincoln guy branding is just really starting to snowball, and I have Dorothy to thank for that.
Well, but it's exactly right, and I'm really glad we could do it. But now that we know, we have established that you are the Lincoln guy.
Okay.
Got about 5 minutes to give us.
I got 5 minutes. Okay, I'll do it quickly. First of all, I want to point out that Lincoln's Thanksgiving Proclamation was all about thanking the Almighty for saving the Union. It came there still was a lot of war to go, but by the time November or October of 1863 rolled around, the end was pretty well determined, and Lincoln was aware of that. There was no mention, by the way, in the proclamation of pilgrims. Pilgrims didn't really become a mainstay of the American Thanksgiving celebration until after Lincoln. It was a result. We've all heard the stories about Sarah Hale and her petitioning for it for many years, that Lincoln finally agreed to, and she began at that point in time in 1863. She really began to give a lot of momentum to the Pilgrim narrative. But the Pilgrim narrative was pretty well localized up in New England before then. And Thanksgiving celebrations were kind of spotty. I mean, they happened sometimes, they didn't happen other times. And most of them that came from at a national level were pausing to give thanks for certain events and moments in our history that were significant in the eyes of the president. But to give you kind of a context, Lincoln, and I'm going to come full circle to this, hopefully by the time I finish, but Lincoln gave a speech in February of 1860 before he even announced that he was running for president. And in that, he concluded that speech by saying, "Let us have faith that right makes might. And in that faith, let us do to the end, dare to do our duty as we understand it." Now, when Lincoln concluded that remark with "as we understand it," that tipped us to the fact that Lincoln had been struggling for his entire life practically over issues of faith. And then he went through a whole gauntlet of tragedy in his first months as president. He was inaugurated in early March of 1861, and that was followed 6 weeks later by the death on the battlefield of a young man that he had taken under his wing, brought him into his home, brought him into his law office in Springfield. His name was Elmer Ellsworth, and he was the first Union officer killed in battle. Not many months later, in October of the same year, one of Lincoln's dearest friends, Senator Ned Baker, became the only sitting senator in U.S. history to die on the battlefield. And they had visited each other at the White House and spent time in the yard, laying under a tree and just talking about old times, only days before he was killed in battle. So we see that Lincoln is beginning to has been, but now this is beginning to intensify his understanding of divine providence and divine will, and what could possibly be the understanding of that. How can you understand that? And so many other things happened. February of 1862 was a horrific month for Lincoln. He wound up deeply depressed at the end of the month when his son Willie died, 11-year-old Willie. And so that is further a turning point in Lincoln in terms of his quest to understand divine will. There was a woman, a nurse, by the name of Rebecca Pomeroy, that Lincoln met the night that Willie died. The Army sent her to the White House to care for the family. And he when he got to learn about her, sitting in the sick room with the youngest son Tad, learning about the tragedy she'd been through in her life, he was on his knees weeping, begging her to tell him how to find the will of God. That was, and then a few months later, in June of that same year, Lincoln is beginning to bargain with God on a proclamation that would free the slaves if he would give the Union a victory.
Let me ask you something about that, though. What do you think we misunderstand about Lincoln? I'm thinking we know he was a prayerful person. We know, he struggled with depression for one thing, but he struggled.
Right, yeah.
But what do we not know about him? What do we not understand?
Well, what we don't understand is how important and how consumed he was by this question of divine will. So after that conversation with Rebecca Pomeroy, and after months of her being in and out of the White House, them having heart-to-heart conversations, she became his spiritual guide. She became the person who helped him manage Mary's many bouts of depression and her physical injuries and illnesses. And by September, Lincoln had done two things. Number one is he had issued the Emancipation Proclamation preliminary proclamation, but he had also written a memorandum that was found after his death that documented his struggle with understanding the will of God. And it came to the point where he said, both sides may be wrong. Okay, those words were words he learned from Rebecca, and they found their way into his 1864 inaugural address for his second term. Well, so that's kind of the setup, as I see it, of Lincoln coming to a point where in October of 1863, when the tide of battle is turned as a result of the victories in Antietam and in Gettysburg, after spending more time with Rebecca's counseling when Mary was recovering from a severe head injury that happened the same weekend as the Gettysburg battle. we find what he's done is that he has, that at that point in time, he has resolved in his mind this question of divine will. And that led up to his October 1863, and again in 1864, his proclamations of Thanksgiving and setting aside a national day of Thanksgiving every year in November. But the important thing about it is that it came as a result of him finally understanding that we cannot dictate God's will. We can hardly understand it often. All we can do is we can just turn ourselves over to that, and continue to do what Lincoln said back in 1860 in February, to do what we believe is right, because right makes might. And if you stop and you think about that phraseology, you might go back and remember that we have heard those same words in a different order often.
Yes, as
throughout
God
human
gives us
history.
to see the right, for instance.
Yes.
Now it's good you had to take a breath there. So I think you wrote a book about Rebecca Palmer, didn't you?
Right.
And where
I did, right.
Where did people
Lincoln's Angel, right.
Lincoln's Angel, that is a good one. And where can people find all of these wonderful books besides in the archives?
On my website at dlfowler.com.
dlfowler.com. That's very good. And we do want to remind you that then you will be telling much more of your story on Swimming Upstream. It's our Christmas issue, so that our Christmas edition, so you'll be able to suggest good Christmas presents for people.
Absolutely. I'll have a special one by then too, by the way.
Oh,
that
wonderful.
involves Rebecca Pomeroy.
Oh, great, great. Well, it's been so terrific here. This is the typical leave them wanting more. But the whole idea here is just a little sampling. And we really thank you for coming. And have you any last words you would like to say as I hurry you out the door?
I think that, yeah, my last word is do what's right.
As God gives us to see the right.
As God gives us the ability to see that, right, yes.
And happy Thanksgiving, my dear friend.
Yeah, and same to you.
Okay, thank you so much. That was Larry Fowler, the Lincoln guy. And now I'm looking for the crafty Canadian. Where is Sandra Solon? There she is.
I'm right here. Yes. Hi, Dorothy. How are you?
Want to say any I'm fine for an old broad. What do you want to say? Any magical words of healing between the States and Canada, or shall we go right to the craft?
Well, we should probably go right to the craft, but I will say one thing. We're family, we're friends, we're neighbors. And I miss my family in America, but we have our own things to do as well. So God bless all of us. And I hope that we can just come to understanding that we're all human. The earth belongs to all of us. Let's get along.
Let's do that. And let's get along right now. You've got a craft for us today. You want to tell me about it?
I do. Well, I've got two, actually, Dorothy. I've got which one would you like? Would you like a nutritious one?
I've been pushing the food, the treat one. So let's
do this, because my other one is with cards, but I'll put you down here, and I won't play with a full deck today, but I have to show you these. This is so fun. And since the kids moved out and there's just my husband and I, and he likes meat and potatoes and I like seafood and salad. So doing a full meal for two people is difficult. You don't get the right nutrition, maybe. You don't eat, you're eating really basic foods because it's easy. And why are you making 4 sides? So I think that this is a really good one for us, small nesters. And they can freeze too. So here we have
pick one up so we can see. It's hard to tell what it is from the picture.
Well, it's just a little meatball. I put these in the cupcake, the muffin tin.
And
And
so
it's
we're gonna serve
chicken.
that. We're gonna just like Thanksgiving comes and we're gonna bring that out.
Yeah,
right?
well, the whole thing is, and I'll show you the end product. Maybe that's where I should start here. Look at how fantastic these
Ooh,
look.
that looks
I
much
mean,
better.
what, and the kids pick them up and eat them. And you know, I'll show you because it's basically, I use chicken because my kids don't like turkey, which is weird at Thanksgiving. But and like I said, because there's only two of us now, our menu is shrunk a lot. And this helps because I'm gonna cut, and I'll cut the ugly one in half because why not? But take a look. I mean, you can see that I've put corn, zucchini, carrots. Maybe that wasn't the best one to, anyways, it's full. It's a complete chicken dinner in there. And then this is mashed potato.
Were you thinking of giving the directions or?
Yes, basically make your own meatball, cook it up. Now, where I think my project failed is the cupcake holder, because I think it would look very much smarter in those little metal ones that stand up and maybe something colored. But I'll just show you how easy it is. I mean, I just put the mashed potatoes in a Ziploc bag, and I'm not a cake decorator, but you know,
Okay.
it looks pretty fun. And then I just put whatever spice I've got on top. This one's an African spice, but remember they're raw spices, so you don't want to do too much. But you know, just there you go. You got a cupcake muffin, and they're so delicious, Dorothy. There used to be several more of them, but somehow over the night, someone went into the fridge and ate a few. But yeah, I mean, it's just a basic meatball recipe you can do with any meat as well. It doesn't have to be chicken or turkey. It can be beef, whatever. And then I just finely chop up peppers, carrots, zucchini, onion, everything I can think of. Think grandma and the fridge, and just throw all the leftovers in there and make a delicious meatball. And then it's simply, and I tell you, this is a half a bag of instant mashed potatoes. Because nobody needs to make a huge pot of mashed potatoes. It's an easy way to do it, and it's quite delicious actually. So
Now,
there you go.
Sandra, if people want to know a little more about how to do that, can they get in touch with you?
Yes, I'm at Crafty Canadian Studios at gmail.com.
Spell
And
that.
I'm happy to send the recipe along. This one's a chicken ball, but you can use beef, pork, turkey, yeah. And it's just simply the mashed potatoes in a Ziploc bag with the tip cut. And you know what? People gobble them up. You can make them dinner size, or you can make them appetizer size as well.
Well, it looks very exciting. I've not seen those before, so that's a good thing to try.
Yeah, and
one.
again, it's all your veg.
Okay, well, listen, if we have time, this is Sandra has been our crafty Canadian for golly, I don't know, years and years, really. And so if we can, we'll finish off the show. We'll come back and see your little card holders and things to. So
I'm here when you want me, Dorothy.
do you have Thanksgiving? See, that's how dumb I am. Do we?
We've had Thanksgiving already, October 13th this year. It's the first Monday in October, I believe. Being retired, the long weekends, they just kind of meld into.
I do know about that. That's true. Well, anyway, thank you, and stay right there, because we are now going to meet Helena Reynolds. Now, she cautioned me against calling her Helena, and I was explaining about Helena, Montana, but it didn't go over very well. So Helena has written a book called Destined to be a Hamilton. And she co-authored it with Mary Ann Hamilton, the great-great-granddaughter-in-law of Alexander Hamilton, who even knew he had one. A new edition is being republished and will be available before the end of the year. But we asked Helena to share just a few amazing thoughts on Dare to be Hamilton. So Helena, where are you?
I am here. Thank you, Dorothy. It's such a privilege and an honor to be here.
Oh, you're not kidding. There you go.
There I am. I'm curious how many people know about the musical Hamilton. Do most people know about the musical Hamilton?
Everybody
Well,
knows.
that was the start of my journey. I learned about Hamilton from the musical and I wanted to know more. And so what I did was go online and check out the resources. There's a gentleman in Florida, and I'm up in Washington, of course. So there's a gentleman in Florida, and he couldn't find much information about Hamilton. And so he started the Alexander Hamilton Awareness Society. And the acronym, of course, is the AHA Society.
Love that.
And it's a double entendre because Hamilton had a lot of aha moments. And so I found him. His name is Rand Chalet. Because I had a little discussion group that some folks at my community center were interested in learning about Hamilton too. Well, he introduced me to a lady who happened to love to talk about Hamilton. And it just happened to be that was her great-great-grandfather-in-law. And this is back in 2016, 17. And so what happened was that Rand, when Marianne saw the musical, of course, Rand took her all over the East Coast as well as down to the Caribbean. And she was a rock star. She was 86 years old, and she was able to share about Hamilton, and people wanted their autograph, they wanted pictures taken with her. And 2020, though, when COVID hit, she was unable to travel like all of us. And so he told her, why don't you write a book? We'll find a writer to share your stories, because she really wanted to get her family's legacy promoted. She'd been married to his great-great-grandson for 12 years in the 60s and 70s. She had no idea why he was so persistent in trying to promote him until she saw the musical 50 years later. And so that was what brought me into the picture of meeting Marianne. One quick note, I had been writing my family's immigrant stories. My parents are Filipino, and Rand was interested in them. I had sent them to him, and he, unbeknownst to me, was sending them to some of his Hamilton contacts because he liked them. He thought they were great stories. And one of them was Marianne. And so she knew about my writing.
Well, that's good. And I'm glad you got to do that. But let's talk a little bit about Hamilton. What have you learned from doing this that we know about him?
Well, Hamilton was unknown by many people. In fact, that's why Rand Chalet started the Alexander Hamilton Awareness Society, as he found out that many people did not know about Hamilton. Folks in the Coast Guard, as well as folks in the economics, knew, but he decided to start it to promote Hamilton's legacy. And then he met Marianne as a result of having gone to the musical and having an article written about her in a Florida newspaper. Hamilton was a type A personality, and he really, really has an amazing story. Born in the West Indies, had no parents by the time he was 12, became a worker at a local merchandising warehouse, and the folks recognized how smart he was. They sent him to America so that he could get educated and come back and help on the island. But when he got to America, he was so brilliant that he ended up going to college, dropping out of college, joining the American Revolution, and becoming George Washington's right-hand man. And so obviously he did not make it back to the Caribbean. Marianne likes to think that she went back for him, but when President Washington needed somebody to set up our financial system, he recognized Hamilton's brilliance because he read everything. He loved to read, and he especially appreciated the European financial systems and what they had over there, of course, with some modifications. And so what happened is that he was able to build our entire financial system as a Treasury Secretary, and he had to fight all the other founding fathers. Jefferson wanted an agrarian system. He wanted to trade with pigs and cows and chickens and bushels of wheat. And Hamilton knew that would not work, especially on a global stage. So he fought. He fought with them, and Washington, especially with having a central bank and having one bank, one denomination, and not guilders and pesos and lira and all that. Washington said to Hamilton, they don't like your system. I'll give you a week to convince me why a central bank is important. And within a week, they started the forms. He convinced 15,000 words later, he convinced Washington why it was important. And they started the first bank temporarily in a few months, and then had one after about a year. And so
her book is being republished as it'll be out in December. Is that right?
It'll be out sometime by the end of the year is what they told me. And what is being, there's some additional things in the book, one being the epilogue of the story I told you about how I met Marianne, as well as questions and answers. I've had some book clubs since Marianne and I published it back in August of 23. And she had it for about a year. She was able to give it away and share it. And she was interviewed very many places. And then she passed away though in August of 24, and made me promise before she left that I would help promote her stories, because she wanted to take off where her late husband finished when he passed away. And so I promised her I would do that. And so now that it's being republished by a traditional publishing house, it's a little bit different for me because we did it on Amazon just to save time and money. But this time it's being published, had to change a lot of things in it, but we're thrilled.
If I may, Bill Lewis says, and who promoted Hamilton for the Secretary of Treasury? James Madison. Bill plays or appears as the character James Madison.
Right.
Yeah. So sadly we've come to the end of the time, but I can take one more heartwarming thought from you, and a short one.
Okay. One thing that Marianne wanted to do was educate as many people as possible to be inspired to find out what Hamilton did, so that they will want to know more and be able to seek the freedoms that we often take for granted, and fight to regain our country to where it is the way our founding fathers intended it to be. And thank you so much. I really appreciate this opportunity.
Well, it was great to have you here. We didn't any of us know about the book. The book is, here it goes, Destined to be a Hamilton. And Helena also will be on our Christmas podcast, Swimming Upstream, of noted authors that you want to be sure and spend time with. So Helena Reynolds, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you.
And now we're going to speed over to the hobby corner, where you'll remember probably last month, Yao Tsao showed us how to start a portrait. And I said to him, well, I want to show what happens when a portrait goes bad. Oh, there's a picture of, and that must be Alexander Hamilton, patriot and statesman. Does anybody remember the poem, "O Burr, what have you done? You've shot brave General Hamilton. You hid behind a bunch of thistle and shot him dead with your horse pistol. O Burr, alack a day, it is not right such men to slay." So keep that in mind. That was a very famous poet. I can't think of his name. Anyway, back to my dear friend Yao.
Stephen Vincent Benet.
Thank you. I knew. See, it's in there. It's all in there. But now, yeah, we got to turn our attention to the poor fellow I started off and walked right off and left him. So I said, we would like to see what happens when a painting goes bad. And he said, oh, no. Couldn't you say it doesn't go bad, but it just didn't, is this what you said? It doesn't turn out exactly the way he wanted it to. So he's going to give us a demonstration, I think quite exciting really, of how he did a painting and corrects it as he goes. I think it's especially exciting and important to know that Yao is not a professional artist. He wants people to know that. It's his hobby. But boy, believe me, you can't tell the difference. So,
you.
Yao, it's your turn. Speak for a moment. What you got?
Sure, sure. Last time I showed a method I used to achieve some degrees of likeness when I do a portrait painting. And what I did actually was draw a lot of pencil lines on the photos I would like to make a painting, and also draw lines on canvas, and so you make it squares everywhere, and the size of the square depends on the differences of the canvas and the original painting. If the size of the canvas is 3 times as tall, 3 times as wide, then I will make the squares 3 times as big for each side. So let's show the first size. Yeah, this is the painting. This is the photo I would like to do the painting. Mita is a former colleague of mine. She's still working. I retired, makes me guilty, and I will, and she would like me to do a painting for her. And so this is the painting, the photo. And then the second one, I begin to draw pencil lines on the photo. And on this particular ones, I have 1 centimeter for each side of the square. And I'm going to have a portrait of 3 times as tall, 3 times as wide. So for each square, I will have 3 centimeters long, high, and 3 centimeters wide. So let's show the next one. Yeah, this is after I have the lines drawn on the canvas. I not trace. I just make a sketch the lines of the facial features of her photo, and you see that it's a draft, very rough draft. Just give me some ideas where the eyes are, where the nose is, and the mouth, and the chin, and the neck. So let's give me a rough idea. And the next one just shows the two together, the photo and my sketch on the canvas. And you see that it resembles, the canvas sketches very much resembles the photos. And that's 3 times as high and 3 times as wide. So it's a proportional. Next one, this on the right-hand side is my first draft of her painting. And you see that it's not bad. The eyes looks like her eyes. The nose is good. But you can also tell there are some differences, significant differences. I can point out that the mouth is one of them. Her mouth is wider and heavier than the one I painted. And also the lower chin is kind of too small. I need to widen her face, the lower part of her face. And let's not talk about the colors at this point. Just look at the shapes. So you see that there are some differences between the two, and I want to achieve a better likeness of the painting to the photos. So what I would do next is based on the comparison between the photo and the painting, I have some ideas what areas I need to modify to achieve a better likeness. Although I want to point out that when I do portraits, I don't always do the portrait exactly the same as the photo. For example, if I don't like the hairstyle, it's too puffy, I would do a hairdo for the person. So that's the point is as a painter, as an artist, you don't always do exactly what it shows. There is a room for you to exercise your artistic aptitude to make the painting more interesting, um, and and people may enjoy more. Of course, I don't want to make two eyes combine to become one, not that kind of drastic changes, but other things that would make the painting more interesting and without any offense or anything, I feel free to do so. So that's very much what I would like to present today. Next time, hopefully, I will have a revised, a modified painting of her to show maybe a month from now. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. What have you given the painting to her, or has she seen it? What did she say?
Not yet, not yet. I'm going to modify it first, to make some changes.
Tell her we saw it and we liked it. What I seemed to me the critical thing that I don't do that I really liked was the putting the grid on the drawing so that you could be sure, like I would imagine the size of the mouth and the eyes. She was a little leaner, it seemed to me, than the actual person.
It's true. So I'm working on that now. I will make her face fuller.
That will be great. So we'll get to see that next time. We'll get to see what you do. Now, keep in mind that our next show, I think, is yes, I'm sure, our Christmas show. And so you might want to, if you've got anything that a person whose hobby is art might want to give a friend. Just think about that. So anyway, thank you ever so much. That was great. I loved seeing the pictures. That was a big help. It was really wonderful. So we'll keep him. Anyway, our artist corner our hobby corner is going to be a regular thing. And Sandra, we're going to have time for you to bring it home with some little crafts. Explain the value. See, here's the thing, kid. I don't get these at all. So you explain these as you go. And you know I will love you no matter what. So it's
Well, thanks, Dorothy. So this one is actually something that I made for my mother, because as she grew old, all her fingers went sideways and she couldn't do a lot of the things that she really liked doing. And one was playing cards. So I've made this little card holder. And of course, I got a royal flush there. But this is easy for the kids and for anyone that has, and I'm getting a bit of arthritis. I look at my fingers every day and wonder what they're going to look like in 20 years. But and as an artist, you just want to keep doing, anybody wants to keep doing what they're used to doing. So this is a little card holder, and the little kids like it too, because you can organize your cards a little easier, and you're not crimping onto them. I find that my hands get really sore after a while. So I'd just like to do a little explanation of how to make it. It's super easy. And I'll bring my screen down here. And I love thrift shopping. As you know, I'm cheap as chips. And this one goes right down the line for me. So all I had to do is find an old box, and probably from Amazon, the right kind of, it's not too thick, but it's not just a hard card stock either. It's a little bit heavier than that. And I found some beautiful material. It was actually a pillowcase and thrift. So I know, right? And you know, it's funny, I'll keep going with this because of time. And I'm just going to mark this. Now make sure that you mark it on the wrong side of the fabric, right? So any kind of felt or pen that won't show through, and you just go around the circle. And the reason why you want to go on the wrong side is because you're going to cut that a little bit bigger than this cardboard. As you can see, I've cut this one a little bit bigger than the cardboard. And then I cut one also a little bit smaller than the cardboard. So the same thing, you mark it on the wrong side and then just cut inside the line or outside the line for both pieces. And you'll need 2 of each of these. I've already put one together. So you can see that I've just folded around, and I've got my trusty glue gun here. So, but my daughter married an American. He's from Oregon, and a lovely fella. He likes to go to rock concerts. And he has to buy a t-shirt for every rock concert he's ever been to in his life. So you can imagine he's got a lot of t-shirts, and they get old and worn and whatever. So my daughter went through his closet and got the ones that were pretty sketchy. Anyway, she made him a bunch of gifts out of his old t-shirts. And this was one of the things that she made for him, was a card holder. So he's got his favorite rock band on a card holder. So I've just gone ahead and glued that. And also, hint, you want to cut out all the way around a little bit. Not all the way to the edge of the cardboard, but just a little bit. And that allows the material to go all the way around like that. So as you can see, you just glue the other piece. I'm going to put it on top. Once you've glued this in place, you glue this on top, and presto, I have one here.
Pretty.
So yeah, it's kind of cool. And imagine, you know, Grandpa's old shirt, maybe. You can think of him when you're playing cards, or your husband's favorite rock band, or even, you know, Grandma's old doily. Can go over a white piece of cardboard, or just paint the plain cardboard you've got. You could paint that into a different color and cover it with whatever you want, right? It can be lacy and feminine or masculine, or just, you know, any kind of scrap material that's a little bigger than the card holder. Now I just used a bowl because I wanted to make sure that I could hold it like this. So you don't want anything too small, but you don't want like a dinner plate size thing. So now that you've got two of them, all I'm going to do is, and I made this button out of a deer antler that my girlfriend sent me, actually. So I'm going to put that in the middle, and I would have, of course, this one done. So I'm just going to pretend that that one's done. And we're going to put them together evenly, and I'm just going to bring up my needle through the center, and it doesn't have to be perfect, Dorothy. Nothing in life is perfect.
Well,
I do have
got about 30 seconds.
Okay. I've got a pattern on this one, so I can go a bit faster.
It's really interesting, though. I can see that.
Right. So, and it's so easy. You just pull that through. Now I'm using a big needle and a bit of embroidery thread, but you can use whatever you've got, and then tie a knot. And you've got your two pieces joined. Put your cards in between.
So I was thinking of it mostly for kids, but really it's for anybody that has trouble holding on to things.
Exactly. And I initially made it for my mom because of her crooked little fingers.
Sure. Well, you know, I have Parkinson's, and I have quite a tremor. So
right?
yeah, it's really terrific. So
and you see that, you know, the anxiety sometimes. I mean, I really saw it on my mom, where she really wanted to be at the table, and she never understood in bridge, when you're a dummy, that you're not really that you're not really, but she just wanted to be part of the gang, and this really helped her. And of course, then she got to show it off as well.
Well, this is just really great. Now, people want to know more about what you're doing. How do they get in touch with you?
Yeah, I'm Crafty Canadian Studios at gmail.com. And I have to, if I've got 1 second, I got my first piece of fan mail a couple of weeks ago. A lady wanted my witch finger cookie recipe and how to do it. So
that was if anybody missed, Sandra gave us the finger last month. It was, she had actually finger-shaped sugar cookies, and they were quite a thing to see. So that's great.
And easy as pie. The same with these, and of course now there's almost another one missing because they're delicious. And I'm eating this one cold as the show went on. So
well, the show is now.
Ask me for the recipe, because there's 5 vegetables in here. and the kids eat them.
I'd like to have the recipe, but not now. So, no, can you, now everyone who registered for today's show will we'll send you the link so you can see the show yourself or share it with friends or whatever you want. So Sandra, if you wanted to send us the recipe, we could put it with it, or if you'd rather people get in touch with you, which you might prefer, they can just do that. For our dear friend Gina, do you want to say anything about your whiteboard there?
Oh, one of my favorite things is that Sandra said I'm cheap as chips. I'd never heard that phrase before.
Now, how do people? Fact is, we can't read that. How are people gonna get to see?
Well, for one, I'm dropping it in the chat, and so if you go up to the 3 dots on the chat, you can drop that down and say save chat. And you know, a little side note, I do this a lot myself. If you save the chat, as soon as the Zoom is over, open that up and print it out, or you'll completely forget about it. But that is going to have all our notes and links and emails. Lots of good information today.
I don't ever even find it when I've just done it. Now, okay, great. Thanks for being here. Thanks to everybody being around. And Jason, say what parting word have you got for us, my dear?
I was just going to let everybody know that Regina's put those pictures in the chat. I will put them in the article where the Coffee Chat and Change the World shows up on your website at itsnevertoolate.com.
And we'll look forward. Yeah, that's exactly right. We'll look forward to seeing you again next month, same time, virtually same station. And here comes the egg. I know that girl.
The eagle's going to crack the shell of the egg that England laid. Yes, sir, we can tell on this humid Monday morning in this congressional incubator. And just as Tom here has written, though the egg may belong to Great Britain, the eagle inside belongs to us. And just as Tom here has written, we say to hell with Great Britain, the eagle inside belongs to us.